Good morning and Jai Hind children. I welcome you all in today's live class of biology. Children, we are discussing the chapter Our Forest. Is it? And in previous class, I have discussed the topic food chain. Okay, and I hope that you understood well that topic. Now, before starting the next topic today, there is a fact, children, that you must have to know. And that fact is the sun, which is the source of energy for all living organisms on the earth. But there are some animals living deep down on the ocean floor that have never seen sunlight. And these animals form unique food chains and feed on certain bacteria, and these bacteria get the energy from chemicals which is found in water which gushing out of cracks in the earth crust. Okay, so you must have to know about that. Certain bacteria use or get the chemicals to get the energy. Get it? And which is again eaten by the animals which are found deep inside the ocean. Okay. Now, come to the next topic. And the topic is food web. Children, remember that. As in food chain, we have discussed that the one organism eats the other organism in a place. So the food chains that have been described earlier are very simple, and there are animals other than the one who eats the plant. As I have taken the example in previous class, in food chain, the plants are the grasses eaten by grasshoppers, and grasshopper eaten by frogs, frogs eaten by the eagles, sorry, snakes, and the snakes eaten by eagle. So this indicates a food chain which is very simple. But there are also animals other than this grasshopper who eats the plant. Is it? Who eats the grass. And other animals are also there who eats the frog other than snakes. Alright. Because the snakes are also eaten by peacock. So there are many organisms who are connected. So we can say that we have several food chains in nature that are connected to each other and form a web similar to the one made by a spider. You must have seen the web made by the spider. So just like the same web is also made when the several food chains connected to each other, and these are known as food webs. Okay, so we can say that food web shows how many animals are interconnected by different paths. Alright, and with the help of this flow chart, you can understand well, like the greens and the grasses. They both are the plant. The grains are the plant products, and grasses are also the green plants. The grains are eaten by human. It's also eaten by hen. It's also eaten by rats. Alright? The grasses are eaten by some animals like grasshoppers. Alright? Human eats hen also. Now the hens are again eaten by the animals like fox. Okay, hens are also eaten by cat, and the rats are also eaten by the cats. Get it? The animals as the rat is eaten by cats as well as it's also eaten by the owls. Alright? Grasshoppers eaten by the frogs and also by the sparrows. Okay? These animals that owls, frogs, sparrows, they are eaten by snakes, and the snakes eaten by peacock, and peacocks are also eaten by frogs. Okay? And you can say that the sparrows are also eaten by cats. So there are many food chains which interconnected to each other and forms a food web. So this is the example of a food web in which different animals are present, those who are eating the other animals. Alright children? Understood about the food web? Now, come to the next topic, and the next topic is balance in nature. Children, suppose all removed from the earth, that peacocks which are present in the nature, if they all removed from the earth, okay, so what will happen to the snakes population? Naturally, their number will increase. Is it? Because peacocks eat the snakes, and if all peacocks are removed from the earth, so the population of snakes increased naturally, and more snakes will eat more frogs because frogs are eaten by snakes, and if the population of snake will increase, so they will eat more frogs, and that is why the population of frogs will decrease. Okay, and this will cause an increase in the grasshopper population because frogs eat the grasshoppers, and the more frogs are eaten by more snakes, so the population of frogs will decrease, and as a result, the grasshopper population will increase. And this increased population of grasshopper will eat more plants, including the crops, and there will be a food shortage. Is it? So, even humans will be affected by this. And fortunately, such things seldom happens in nature because the nature maintains the population of each species of animals in sufficient number to maintain a balance. Okay? So that is why we say that to kill and to be killed, to grow and to die, and get decomposed is the law of nature. And it is due to these activities that the balance in nature is maintained. Okay? So how the balance maintained in nature, children? Because of, yes, the species of different animals are maintained by nature. Okay, and that is why it is said that to kill and to be killed, to grow and to die, and to get decomposed. This is the law of nature, and that is why there is a balance in nature is maintained. Okay, understood how the balance in nature is maintained? Now come to the next topic of the chapter. and that is forest conservation. Forest conservation. Children, the meaning of conservation is protection. So, the protection of forest, saving forest. Okay, as our needs for land, for housing and farming, and that for wood, for fuels and construction grow, we cut down more and more forests. And this is known as deforestation. What it is known as, children? It is known as deforestation, that cutting down of more and more trees. Okay, so this has a harmful impact. Deforestation has a harmful impact on the environment, and hence there is a constant need to manage the forest carefully to conserve them. All right, and there are different ways suggested. There are different methods are given by which we can conserve the forest, and one of the way is planned harvesting. So planned harvesting is one of the way of forest conservation, and it is an efficient way to get wood from forest for our requirements. Is to cut only some of the trees in an area, and the uncut trees prevent erosion. Fruits of these trees produce seeds so that the new trees can grow, and this way the forest cover is maintained. Okay, so this way is termed as planned harvesting. Means while cutting the trees, some of the trees can be cut to fulfill the requirement of wood, and rest of the uncut trees can, yes, can maintain the forest and can prevent the soil erosion, can produce seeds, and again help to, yes, new trees, to grow new trees. All right. Now, the second way of forest conservation is afforestation. Okay? In afforestation, what happened? Yes, the practice of renewing a forest by planting seedlings or small trees takes place. So you can say that this afforestation is the practice of renewing a forest by planting the seedlings or the small trees. And now these days in our country, planned afforestation is being done not only by the government but also by private organizations for commercial purposes, and the selective cutting of trees in these plantations provide wood for construction and also keep the forest cover intact. Right. So the afforestation also help in forest conservation, because after cutting down, it's get renew the forest by planting the seedlings or small trees. Okay. Now the next method is protection from fire. So for forest conservation, we must have to protect our forest from the fire, because the huge forest areas are destroyed by fire every year, and the fire may occur due to the carelessness of people, or it also occurs due to the lightning during a storm or by friction between dry stems and dry branches of trees. So these are the different reasons because of which the forest fire occur. And we must have to protect the forest from the fires. So the forest fires are controlled by spraying extinguishing solutions from aircrafts or by changing the direction of winds by using strong blowers. So by using these ways, these methods, we can protect the forest from fires. Alright, and help in conservation of forest. Okay, children? Now, come to the next method of forest conservation is protection from insects and pests. This is the another way of forest conservation to protect the forest from insects and pests. Okay, because these are the other important causes of forest destruction are the insects and the pest. And the method of controlling the disease in forests include removing infected trees and using insecticides. Alright, if any tree of the forest is getting infected, so what we can do? Yes, we can remove that infected tree and we can use the insecticide to kill the insects and we can also use the fungicide to kill the fungus because these insecticides and fungicides are the chemicals which are used to kill these insects and fungus, and the insects and the pests can be efficiently controlled by natural insect predators. Okay, so they kill insects in large numbers. So either we can use the insecticides or we can use the, yes, insect predators that can kill also the insects in large numbers. And the forest can be protected from these insects and pests. Okay, children? Alright? The next method of conservation is protection from overgrazing. Protection from overgrazing. Children, as you know that the overgrazing by the cattle, sheep, horses, etc., they not only destroys the grasslands but also trees in forests. And the trees which are there eaten up or trampled. And the lower leaves are eaten up and the roots are, yes, trunks are injured due to the overgrazing. So this overgrazing must therefore be prevented to save the forest. Alright, because due to this overgrazing, what happens? Yes, the trees are either eaten up or it's get trampled, and the lower leaves of the trees also get eaten up and the roots and the trunks are getting injured during the overgrazing process. So that is why it must be prevented to save our forests. So these are the different ways which are used for conservation of forest. Alright, and I hope that you understood these all ways to conserve your forest. Is it, children? Now, come to the next. Children, at the last of the chapter, there is a case study given. Okay, so I'm going to explain that case study which is given in your chapter. And this case study is about the forests in Odisha. Okay, the forests in Odisha. The Binjgiri Protected Forest was almost completely denuded by the late 1960s. Children, there is a forest found in Odisha, and the name of this forest is Binjgiri Protected Forest. And this forest gets completely, yes, deforested in the year 1960. It get denuded, and the streams which flow there get dried up. The ponds get sedimented and increase, and there was an acute scarcity of fuel wood takes place. Alright, due to the deforestation, these all problem arises there. The streams gets dried up, the pond sedimentation increased, and the scarcity of fuel wood takes place. So the villagers of Keshavpur, a village which is situated near this forest. Okay, so the villagers of this Keshavpur village, they started a movement to protect the forest. And however, they soon realized that their efforts would go west unless other villages surrounding this forest, Vinjgiri, were also involved in its protection. Get it? So the villagers of Kesopur started, and after that, the other villagers also get involved in protection of this Vinchgiri forest. And this led to the creation of an organization. And the name of this organization is, yes, Briksha, Briksha O Jiva. Alright, Bandhu Parishad. So this is the name of that organization, which was created by the villagers near to this Vinjgiri forest. And this organization was created just to protection of the trees in the forest. Okay, and the meaning of this name of organization is Friends of Trees and Living Beings. Alright, children. The name of organization was, yes, Vriksha O Jiva Bandhu Parishad, and the meaning is Friends of Trees and Living Beings, and that provided the leadership for community involvement in forest conservation. Okay, and thanks to this organization, that Vriksha O Jiva Bandhu Parishad, environmental awareness activities, the rules were established for using the Binjgiri forests, and the forest cutting and animals rearing were restricted. Okay, these activities are restricted in the forest, that forest cutting and the animal rearing, because the animal rearing is responsible for overgrazing. All right, so these activities restricted, and the families were assigned responsibilities for taking turns patrolling the forest. Okay, the different families of the villages, they take their own responsibilities and take the turns patrolling to watch over the forest, to stop cutting the trees and also the rearing of animals. And as a result, what happens? Yes, as a result of these all efforts, the forest was regenerated again, and water again flowed in the streams that had dried up earlier. And even after the rainy season ended, in addition, fish population grew more abundant as pond water quality improved. So because of improving the quality of pond water, yes, the population of fish also increased. Get it? And the local communities in Odisha now manage 1,200 patches of forest, which covering a total area of, yes, 1,86,900 hectares. A little in that you must have to know that how many patches of forests are managed by local communities? Yes, it's 1200 patches. And it's cover total area about 1,86,900 hectares. Get it? So, because of the effort of the local villagers near to this forest, what happens? Yes, the quality of water improved. The water again flowed there in the streams, dried up streams, and the forest again gets grows. The trees grows there. Okay, and because of these all activities, the villagers gets benefited. Got it? Understood? So, children, this is all about the case study which is given here regarding the forests in Odisha. And I hope that you understood it. Okay? Now, come to the next. After this case study, oral question second is given in the chapter. So, I'm going to discuss the answers of oral questions second. And the question number one is, plants in the forests are useful to animals in many ways, and the animals are also useful to plants. Is it? List three ways in which animals are useful to plants. Children, we have discussed in the chapter that the plants in the forest are useful to animals and animals are also useful to plants. So here you have to list three ways in which animals are useful to plants. So the first way is, yes, animals help in pollination. Second way is, animals also help in dispersal of seeds. And the third way is, yes, the dead bodies of the animals provide nutrients. Okay, so these are the three ways in which animals are useful to plants. Now, come to the next question number two. And the question is, consumers are the heterotrophs. They are those animals that eat plants. Do you agree? Give reason. So children first understood the question. The consumers are those animals that eat plants. Okay. So plants and animals that take nutrients from where? Yes, from the soil. So you can say that the consumers are the animals that eat plants, whereas some of the consumers who eat the other animals. Okay, like primary consumers who eat plants and secondary consumers who eat other animals. Alright, so we cannot say that consumers are those animals that eat plants only. Okay, because some of the consumers, like the secondary consumers, are the, yes, eating other animals. Alright, now come to the next question number three. And the question is, plants and animals take nutrients from the soil. Ultimately, these nutrients must go back to the soil. Why? And how does this happen? Okay, children. So for giving this answer, you must have to know that the plants and animals which take nutrients from the soil, ultimately these nutrients must go back to recycle the nutrients, because there is a natural recycling of these all nutrients. And because of this, plants and animals, they both are able to get the nutrients for their survival. So as the plant get nutrients from soil, is transferred to the consumers, and again after the death of the consumers, decomposers return these nutrients back into the soil, and again it absorbed by the plants. Okay, so this recycling takes place. Now come to the next question number 4. And the question is, food chains in nature are not independent from each other. They are interconnected because one organism may appear in several food chains. So, what do these interconnected food chains together form? So, children, remember that today we have discussed these interconnected food chains together forms the food web. Okay, in which the one animal eaten by other animals, more than one kind of animal. So many food chains gets interconnected. All right. And now the question number is, we have to cut trees as we need wood for various purposes. What advantage does planned harvesting of trees has over cutting all trees in an area? So children, planned harvesting is one of the way of forest conservation, and in this method, some of the trees of a forest cut for the purpose to get wood and all, and rest of the trees will grow there, okay, and they produce seed, and again the new plants grow in the forest and maintain the trees in forest. So this method is plant harvesting. Okay, so if this method will used up, so what will happen? The forest can be conserved. So in place of cutting all the trees in an area, some trees can be cut to fulfill our requirement. Alright, so this is all about your oral questions too, and I hope that you understood all the answers. Thank you and have a nice day.